Okay. Hi, Kim. Welcome. So glad you're here. I am figuring out some of the tech and thought I had it all set up, and we're figuring it out. So, okay, we are live on YouTube. We are live
Okay, hi
on
Kim.
Instagram, and we're learning not to have feedback. And I think we're gonna try one more piece and then we're done. So that's it. One more login. Welcome to the Think Time membership Q&A. So glad you're here. Becca is here with me. I think Becca is requesting to join on Instagram, and I think we'll have Facebook. We'll go live here to the best of our abilities as well. So I think I can go live on Facebook as well. So if you go to facebook.com, take time to think time, we are live there as well. And we're going to go a little sideways. We're almost fixed. So we are going lower. Okay. Ha! 1, 2, 3 places. We got it. Got
All right.
this. So Facebook is done. Zoom to YouTube is done. The comments, you guys go ahead and bring your information into the comments. If I'm not looking at your camera, I will in just a second. We're going to look in 3 different places. So I'm so glad you guys are joining this live cast with Becca Bernard and myself, Christine Wilson. And we are just so glad that you're here. This has been such a transformative tool in both of our lives, and we want to share with you um, what it is, answer your questions, and then also let you know about the supportive community and process that we've built to help you to navigate actually getting it into your life. So when you think of the membership, think implementation. So the process by itself is one thing, and the implementation is another level of support, which we're super excited to bring into the Think Time world. So Becca, thank you for joining. You are our first Think Time coach, and I'm so happy that you're here, and the level of support that you've been able to offer the members this year has been transformative for many people. And it's been a blessing for me to be able to know that there can be more live support given, and you're in a different season of life than I am, and so you're able to do that a little bit more easily than I am, and I'm super grateful. We just are all, we're all in this together, this thing called life. So yeah, welcome to Think Time. We are here for ADHD high achievers, creative leaders, out of the box thinkers, and really anyone who wants to use more of their mind to get the right things done in less time. My specialty is well, I'm Christine, and I believe in your dreams, number one. And my specialty is in helping you move from striving to thriving with the first whole brain planner and now membership. And the membership is small but growing. It's a small but mighty beautiful piece of what we're doing that I'm really thrilled about and very grateful for, and just happy to share about it today with the world. And so, Becca, is there anything you wanted to start off with? I know we have a lot of talking points that we've discussed and talked about bringing in, but what is there
Mhm.
anything that stands out as you're starting?
There's so many great things on my mind. Well, just thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. I think it would be really cool to start off just like jumping right in with some of the challenges that you think people that end up like actually coming to you, coming to the membership, coming to the planner and finding wins like right off the bat. Like what are some of the challenges they're facing? Because let's let people kind of identify right away if this is something that might be for them.
Mhm. Yeah, so the typical user of a Think Time Planner is going to be someone who's highly creative, ADHD possibly, also very maybe struggles with organization, struggles with focusing. And when I say struggles with focusing, it's not that you don't have focus, it's that sometimes you have too much focus going in a lot of directions. And so I want to be really clear on that. It's not that you can't focus, it's that it's just like there's so much going on. I have 5 million things to do now. Well, that's actually a really good decider. If you feel like you have about 100 things to do now, and you feel like they're all due now, then you're probably in the right place. That's probably the best decider. The second way I think you can tell if you're in the right place is if you've never been able to really find a planner that works for you. Think Time is the first whole brain planner. And what that means is we're just including more of the biology of your thinking in the process. And what I mean by that is information flows in a way that is bottom up, meaning your body to your brain. You're constantly giving yourself a feedback loop, bottom up, right to left. And this is the first planner that's ever actually been created that reflects the actual thinking processes in the brain. And so it starts with ideation, moves toward, like envisioning, ideation, really looking and evaluating where you're going, and then getting things done in the fastest and easiest way, then reflecting how did it go, and then building the plan forward. How can we routinize these things? So, yeah, some of the things that people are going to struggle with are going to be procrastination, maybe struggling with time management. Sometimes you get overwhelmed because you have so many ideas and it's just hard to sift through them. You may really like forget routine tasks. Like you might remember the things that are novel and exciting, but you might forget the routine. A lot of times there's an emotionality that's maybe, just throughout life, you might have noticed like, I think I react a little bit more strongly than those around me. That might be something you may notice about yourself. A sensitivity to external stimuli. Really just, there's something called sensory gating that if you can't filter out a lot of the distractions, which is why this is such a beautiful process because it helps to filter the distractions. If you are sensitive to external stimuli, perhaps open to more input. And if you are not ADHD, but you're just creative, think about the nature of a creative brain. It's a brain that's open to ideas. It's open to input. It's open to external things coming in, more permeable in a sense. And so that type of personality is going to be part of the people who are typically attracted to and stay around for a very long time with the Think Time Planner. So.
No, I think you're spot on there. I feel like I see those themes running throughout like everyone in the membership and people that I hear their stories. And that's a lot of the before and afters. I feel like you hit on a lot of the before points, and it's not like it solves all of our problems. But what are some of the like specific, like, do you see people like actually change? Do you see their habits change? Do you see their results change? Like what changes for people when they start using Think Time? Because I know I see the wins, but like what would you say is, are people learning more about themselves and getting more comfortable with themselves and then they're able to do these things better? Like what do you think watching this for so many years now?
Yeah, as you're talking, I think self-acceptance is the phrase that comes to mind. Really stopping the condemnation that has come perhaps to a lot of the people who are in my audience. And there are some statistics that say that kids who do have ADHD received up to 20,000. I thought it was 10,000. It's actually 20,000 more negative comments by the time they're age 10 or 12. And so by that in and of itself is just a beat down to the self-esteem. And so a lot of the times, and I suffered from this even in graduate school, I just remember running late to a class and the things I said to myself, I would never say to another human anywhere on the planet. And I caught myself because I'd learned about self-talk prior to graduate school. And then I was in a counseling program. I was like, why am I saying this to myself? Why do I have this critical voice in my head that's just attacking me and saying, no, like you will never change. You will never be able to figure out this time thing, and even like I hate myself, like that feeling and that thought would come up, and that's not a way to live. And so I remember, I think this was probably, I'm going to date myself, but around 20 years ago, I was like, I made a covenant to myself. I don't know if I will ever figure out how to be on time or how to manage time, but I will not speak to myself that way again. And I have maintained that. And so my automatic thought now when I do something completely dumb is, I love myself. And I just kind of have this endearing relationship with, like, I make mistakes, I move on. And so I think, a lot of productivity systems are are really, there's a lot of baggage with productivity. It's like, I need to perform to be accepted. I need to be organized to achieve my goals. Not true, by the way. There are a lot of things that go into goal achievement other than organization. It's helpful, but it's
You
not
need to
necessary
have it
all the
all
time.
figured out before you start.
Yeah, have it all figured out before all these things, all these lies that we believe about productivity and getting things done.
Mhm.
And it's really not that we have to just be this person who believes that we are amazing to achieve something. It's just that we start achieving something. And when, as you were talking about, yes, the view of the self esteem, and I don't mean that in a cheesy way of like I need a trophy, but like the way that I view myself, the way that people view themselves in the membership, it does change from I don't have the confidence I can even go for a goal to I just did that. Whether or not I'm confident or not, I can look back and say that's done and I did it. And so I guess I'm the kind of person who does those things. So my self view is going to have to be adjusted and rerouted.
Mhm. Yeah,
So,
I think you're spot on. I feel like I see that action reflection process over and over in think time. And it's not just it's not that stationary spiral. It like spirals
mhm.
higher. Like we keep kind of
Yes.
growing as we do the process.
Mhm.
And we find proof for what we're looking for. So first we find the hope that like, oh wait, I actually could learn this. I could change. I could have a dream. I could set a goal, right? A lot of us just start from that simple place of I could get my family and my life and my calendar organized. Could get my garage cleaned. Like I could, we go from like, I'll never figure this out or I'm just bad at this to, okay,
Mhm.
maybe if other people are changing, I can too.
Yeah.
We go, you have this process that will help us kind of start small and start making some building blocks of a foundation. And then next thing you know, you work through that process, you look back, you realize you did it, you celebrate the small wins, you try something else, and then you look back a few years later, if you're someone like me or you, and you're like, wait, I actually feel like a different person. I think differently, I act differently, I show up differently. And that takes time, of course, but I do like the action piece of think time because
Mhm.
I don't think that we can think ourselves out of our problems a lot of times.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
That's one of the benefits of any program I've had any success in is that the actual taking action. And you've taught me to do imperfect action. Like it's helped me let go of a lot of my perfectionist tendencies because I always have this sense of like, I have to be good at it before I start. I have to have it all figured out.
Yeah.
I have to have guarantee of success or what's the point of trying? Like all of that thinking I kind of let go of too and realized better to just do it and learn as I go than to never start. So that's
Yeah.
a big one, I think.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think the perfectionism piece is you can't let it go when you realize you're going to learn from a mistake. And so it's okay to make a mistake. And I think one of the most transformative thoughts I've had in that area is that the highest achievers, the top performers, what they call the half percenters, those people who like win Olympic golds because they get that little bitty edge above everyone else and they're so excellent. The one trait that sets them apart is that they treat winning and losing just the same, like success and
Mm.
failure, same bucket. I learned something. I'm moving forward. Don't slow me down. And so it really changes everything. Just try, set it out there. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but keep going, keep trying. And that it's really been transformative in my life. And I know it is as yours is in your life as well. I got tongue tied.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess I would like to ask you, as what I guess I want to ask you like the process. So if someone's coming into the membership,
Mhm.
what can they expect? Um, what would you say they can expect in coming into the membership? I'm happy to go through
Mhm.
it as
Yeah,
well.
absolutely. Yeah, I'll have you do some more of the details in a minute because I know you have 3 levels now that people
Mhm.
can start at, which is awesome.
Mhm.
And what's nice about that is makes it accessible for people based on what
Mhm.
kind of time they have, what kind of budget they have, what kind
Mhm.
of schedule they have right now. But
Mhm.
you have that accessibility for someone who is a busy working parent who just wants to like learn it and do it on their own time versus someone who is maybe running a business and needs
Mhm.
a guided experience to get them going really fast. And I know you have someone who just started who's getting results in like 2 weeks of just doing the process. So that's so cool.
Yeah.
But I think what you can definitely expect. I mean, I still remember the first time I ordered my planner. Just the care that's put into making sure that I get the planner, I get the tutorials, I get like the welcome, I get your email list. Like just your email list alone is so valuable. So like I would say to people, like just get on the email list if you're not sure yet. But
Yeah.
I would say get in at least at that first level if this works for you, if this idea is like resonating with you. But I think that middle and higher level are going to be perfect for most people. For some people, they're going to want to jump right into weekly calls. They're going to want to take the courses as they come in. You have that option now for one-to-one coaching with you at that highest level of the membership. So
Mhm.
it's that personalized attention and the jump start. Everything's ready for you. So they're not waiting for anything. It's all thought out, it's all put together. And so they could get right in and start seeing results in as little as like days or weeks, which is so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, why don't I just run through the 3 levels and we'll kind of just map it out. And it is laid out so that anyone at any budget really has an opportunity to learn. I think I've said in other episodes, I was a pastor's kid, like we never had anything growing up. And so I always had more of the lower budget things were the things that I thought were achievable, and a membership would not have been achievable. As I've grown up and I've realized how much better results you can get faster and easier. You can save 9 years of your life. If you take a class, you don't have to make all the mistakes over a decade. And so I really value putting the money in at the beginning point and investing more time to learn from someone who's already got the 2 decades of experience, so I don't have to make all those mistakes. So I bias now personally toward the investing more, but I understand, especially with people who may not be good with money management. You're already feeling kind of in the hole, or you don't have time. And so you don't feel like you have time. You don't feel like you have money. And so where do you start? And so there's that option for level 1. Level 1 is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Like you can literally start in the middle of the night. If you're just like, I'm tired of this, I'm exhausted, and now I can't sleep because I have so much stress, you can get the downloadable planner and start that moment anytime you want. So that's always there for you. When you do start with level 1, you're going to get a planner, which is a downloadable planner, or you can choose a physical planner. Price point's pretty similar because you're getting the results-based experience. But of course, like the downloadable one's a little bit cheaper. But then there's a tutorial available to you. And so you'll watch a 1-hour tutorial, and then you have access to videos of myself just walking you through the program. And so you can at any time say, I'm going to do a weekly template, push play, and then I will walk you through it. And then I will say, okay, now you're going to do step A, and then step B, then step C. And I just walk you through it. So that's always there for you. Level 2 and level 3 opens 1 time a quarter at this time. I'm still opening it 4 times a year, and it's been a year since I've opened it. I closed it down, now I'm opening it up. It's been a year since I've opened it. I do plan to open it again in January at this time. So level 2 is so exciting. I think most people will come in at level 2. Many people will choose level 1 and level 3 as well, but I think level 2 is probably the middle ground that a lot of people are going to choose. And as things come in, today is the last day. And so level 2 is really exciting. You not only have the level 1 planner tutorials always there for you, but you also have this opportunity to build your productivity, your performance, and your sense of purpose even in step-by-step, skill-by-skill strategies. And so I have lined out 6 pillars of the membership. And if you've been to think-time.com/membership or think-time.com, click membership, you have seen those 6 pillars. And it's, building your purpose, getting that confidence to either pause or go forward. And then you have the dreaming, deciding, doing, and reviewing, in the sense that you're growing your dreams, you're growing your ability to get more done in less time, you're growing your ability to reflect and to grow, and have your mindset constantly grow. And so all these things are constantly growing. Like you said, the upward spiral, it is really a scientifically structured upward spiral. Once you get on the path, and you tell everyone in the membership all the time, just come back, do the process, it works. Do the process, it works. There's so much research behind every step of the process. It's not because I created this and I know all things. It's just that this is what works. It's top brain science, it's top performance. They are the same thing. top brain function and top performance are the same thing. So it is a supportive process to help you move through the best thinking strategies of the top performers. And so no matter how busy your life is, how stressful it is, I think I'm getting off track, but basically level 2 helps you to build the skills you need over time in addition to the process that you're planning with. It also has Becca. And so you're able to meet 1 hour a week with a Think Time coach. And right now, Becca is meeting once a week, 1 hour a week. And it has been such a joy for me to know that my members are being taken care of in a live way. So this is something that we haven't added until just this year. And that live feedback and Q&A when it comes up, and am I doing this right? That's the biggest thing that I think you get from having a Think Time coach walk you through the process. Am I doing this right? How do you do that? Is that what I'm aiming for? And that's just wonderful. And so, Becca, you've seen just faces brighten, right? Over the course of the year, confidence building and
Mhm.
results happening.
Yeah.
And even you
I-
were mentioning relationships improving, just like
yeah.
all the
It's
things.
awesome. Yeah, we do. And we celebrate the
Yeah.
small wins. It's so nice to have someone else be able to reflect back. Like when someone can share a small win, some progress, a challenge, something they realize, like to be able to have some, like have a community around you that's celebrating the small wins and helping troubleshoot the challenges and helping when you're stuck, helping you kind of think of other ideas. Like it's literally a creative brain, creative thinking process. Like we'll talk in a second about like how it's a whole brain process. So it's awesome to have that there. Okay, so do level 3, the additions on level 3, and then
Okay.
we'll talk about how why this is different from like regular productivity processes after you
Okay.
do like level 3.
So level 3 is something that we're adding this launch. I've never done it before, but I have also not been in the season of life to be able to offer it. And so I think I'm finally at the place where I can say, okay, finally we can do this. I've been asked for it several times, but it is a one-on-one coaching experience and a mastermind. And so we have, not only do you get the process and the planner with level 1, the laser coaching lessons and the live support with level 2, but then you add on, it's a fully rounded coaching program when you have a mastermind and a one-on-one each month. And so it really is not overwhelming. I don't think it's going to be overwhelming for anyone. It's a new thing for our membership, but I do not anticipate it being overwhelming, since when you invest the time, you really get more time back. Most people get more time back. And so that's basically it. It's just 1 hour of a one-on-one with me, and I'm the creator of the Think Time process, the first whole brain planner, and very humbled to be that person, but very grateful as well. And so you'll get a one-on-one with me, and then you'll also have the benefit of a mastermind. And what I love about our Think Time Thursday mastermind is it is a round table. And so if there is a problem that comes up, someone can say, this is how I've been doing that. And, everything doesn't have to come through me, right? I created the process, but now it's taking on a life of its own. It's applied in 5 or 6 different ways around the table at this time. And so, who else is going to come in and add their twist in their application? And this is how I did that. It's got a lot of flexibility in it. And so you'll have your own flavor of Think Time as you go about it. And so you can learn from others around the table as well.
Awesome. Yeah, so that made me think before, I don't know if we talked today yet about how this is a whole brain process and what it is that makes it different from like every other productivity system that people have tried. Because I think a lot of people have the same sense that I had, which is I'm just not good at planning. But the truth is, I found I just needed a process that worked for my brain because I actually have a great brain. Like I love my brain now because I understand more about how it works. And I found processes that help me tap into the strengths and not make me feel awful about the weaknesses. So talk about how we do that and how that's different, like what you discovered that makes this different.
Yeah, the strengths and struggles of the creative mind, right? I would say 99% of every productivity, I'll just say I have never seen personally, even after it's like 9 years into Think Time being launched. I still haven't seen another process that engages the creative part of your mind in this productive way. And so when I say creativity, what I'm talking about is that ability to think of 100 ideas a minute, like, oh, we could do this, we could do this. So I'll show you and also the visual part and the right brain part. There's just a lot in the right brain creativity that's holistic thinking, not parts. It's images, not words. It's I need to see it instead of I can hold that in my mind. And people with ADHD struggle with working memory. So let's put it down so we can look at it and evaluate it in front of us. So this right here is going to be the first planning page. So you start with a creative process where you have mind mapping here and then a visual filter here. And then the other side is the planner. The planner was the 13th tool I created, actually. I didn't intend to make a planner. So what you're finding is it's actually a creative process to unearth your dreams. And then you productively move them into your life. The way that our bodies are formed is that we have a bottom up, right to left process and the way that information travels. And for whatever reason, all the planners use words, and that takes out a good part of the population. For whatever reason, it's all parts. We're going to put the steps in. What about the whole? What about the end goal? And so if you're a person who's highly creative, or if you have ADHD, there are a couple of traits that the typical productivity process is going to leave out. One is you're told to be disciplined and you're told to follow through, and that's the success path. Well, that's just not going to work for you. Like, it's just not going to be the way you get there. And I would say, don't start with discipline, start with a dream. And so it's a dream, decide, do, and review process. The reason you want to start with the dream is because it engages your most powerful affect, your want to. And if you will just think about your parents, why were they so frustrated with you, right? Because when you wanted to do something, you could focus. And so we harness that as part of the process. You want to do this. So you're constantly going, what do I want most? And then from there, you're building your productivity on top of that. This is my sweet spot. Now, surely there are some things that you don't want to do, right? You don't want to do the taxes. Well, what might be behind that is you don't want to go to jail, right? And so that want to might be, I'm free to not evade taxes, right? Or whatever the motivation is, there's going to be something. If it's something you don't want to do, either don't do it or find out what the thing is behind it that you do want, that you will work toward. And then we have other strategies that engage the whole brain. I feel like I lost my point. Where were we going with this?
No, you're good. You were talking to me about how it's different, and I think you were spot on.
Okay, good.
I mean, my why for my taxes is I watch myself drag it out, make it so stressful, still get it done by the last minute anyway. But then I realized the next year, wait a minute, I know I'm going to do it anyway. Why don't I just tap into whatever like little tips and tricks I found to make it easier on myself last year, and then just pace myself so that I'm not so stressed at the last minute. But it's the same things that I see other people doing, but I had to get there myself and understand what's going to motivate me to do those things, why they're important to me. And the other thing I think you tapped on is just the fact that this is like a whole brain, whole life process. This is the first thing that's ever, I mean, I've been doing this for 4.5 years, so this doesn't happen overnight. But this is the first thing I found that's been able to help me put my whole life down in a place that helps me feel like it's all integrated.
Yeah.
Like the work professional me is very closely connected to the home mom me, and then the business owner me, and the creative me, and the me that just needs to rest and take a walk and do some art to chill out for a little while. Like it's all the same person, and they're all super interrelated. And so I feel like I spent a lot of time compartmentalizing to be successful in certain areas, but not having a lot of that integration piece. And I don't know if that is something that people can connect to, but that was something that I'm just super grateful for, because I can look at it now and go, there's a lot more in each area of my life that I'm really happy and grateful for, and that I've built in. And the more I build in on those areas that were lacking, like the creativity, the rest, the relationships, certain areas, it actually makes my work and my home and everything else more productive, more fruitful, more fun, more rewarding. So having that ability to kind of look at all the areas of my life and balance them out makes me feel more grounded, more balanced. So that's been a cool part of it too.
Yeah, I love that. I think one of the traits of someone who's highly creative is that when you're focused, you're focused. And so we really zero in on whatever that one thing is that that we're doing. And then sometimes we'll look back and we'll just look back and be like, what happened? What blew up? Back there, I didn't even see it happening. Right now for me, for instance, it's a launch week. And so my house is not perfect right now, but I have learned to say that's the way it is, and I'll clean it tomorrow after the launch, not worried about it. But not everything's like that. Some things actually need to be managed or maintained a little bit better. And so I think what you might be thinking about sharing is the think zones area. And so this is a lot of people's favorite quarterly and yearly check-in with themselves, where you like mind map what's wild success for each area of your life. And this is health, money, spiritual, personal, service, relationships, family, home, work, money. I don't know if I said money, health. Yeah. All those areas, because they have to all be working. If you have everything going and you don't have energy, your goals are not going to be accomplished. You can have that time block on your calendar. I mean, how many times have you shown up to that time block and you're just like, oh, I can't do it. I'm so tired. I think I've talked to probably just several people this week that are just so tired. And you can't do your best productivity if you're so tired that your eyes can't even stay open in the middle of the day. And I know that I've lived a lot of my life that way. And so a lot of what we do is like managing energy. So energy management. So part of it's like we have a tendency to hyper focus on one area. Say you go to the gym and you reach all your goals, but it's 2.5 hours there and then everything else is not getting done, right? You have clear goals in one area. Well, it's important to have clear goals in every area of your life for things to hum. You can have everything else going, but you run out of money, that's going to cause some crises. And so all of a sudden, 10 hours a week is going to be spent in this direction just to pay the bills. And so if you don't have all the areas of your life going for you, then you're going to have this hiccup way of doing things. It's almost like you have just this big rock on your wheel that's going to make you not really function very well.
Yeah. And we end up in that crisis to crisis mode.
Yes.
That's kind of where I found you. I was still in that mode a little bit, but it was just kind of that burnout mode where we just push ourselves and we're living on stress hormones and we're doing things because we have to. And yeah, we want to, but we also wish we could do them from a place of actually having energy and enthusiasm for those things, but we end up just doing them out of obligation. So
Yeah.
part of this process for me has been figuring out what are those things that fill my cup? What kind of rest do I need? When do I need it? Just paying attention. Like I feel like I've become a student of myself through think time.
Mm-hmm.
And so my think times become an extension of my brain because when I sit here and draw something out or map it out, I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that was all in my brain. Like sometimes I'll think I don't know the answer to something and I'll sit down and I'll put it down. I'll go, oh, I did know. I just hadn't had time to like focus on it yet. And
Mm-hmm.
so it gives me a place to put everything to know it's all either recorded somewhere or I can back burner things. I can shift. It's like a puzzle, but I have all the pieces in front of me instead of having them all jumbled up in my brain. And
Mm-hmm.
that helps me so much. So, and I feel like now I can show up and serve and do my jobs and do
Mm-hmm.
all the pieces from a place most of the time of like fullness and
Yep.
like wanting to be there and being rested and being ready.
Yeah.
And and there are choices that we have to make to do that, but that's a big thing. So
Yeah. And I think you're spot on. And I think that showing up for life with energy for me is a total game changer. I think not I think most of my life, probably up to 35, if you would have given me a choice of could you do this amazing activity or just like go to sleep on the couch for 15 minutes, I would have chosen the couch. Most of the time I was just so tired. And so, whether your answer is exercise every day, get sleep, take supplements, find out your answer. We're constantly thinking about how do we refuel so we can achieve our dreams and goals more effectively. And I think that's really critical. Um, yeah. What else? What else do you think?
we all have like
Mhm.
we've we give ourselves so much permission to just be who we are and to
Mhm.
need what we need and to want what we want.
Yes.
Like this process is like permission to have your own life.
Mm.
And so that's super powerful for people,
Yeah.
not only people who are creatives and who are ADHD, but like really for anyone, especially people who are coming out of situations where they're just so used to just making things work for other people, taking care of other people, putting everyone else first, like all the selfless things that look great. But if we're not doing them from a place of fullness, if we're doing them from a constant running on empty, like we end up resentful, we end up without our own life that we're living. We're just living
Yeah.
what other people want for us, or so that it like examining, like stopping to reflect and examine and get to become a student of ourselves and get to make some decisions about what we really want.
Mhm.
Sometimes we think that's selfish and it's not.
No.
It's the most wonderful thing we can do, because then we can really start to figure out what our actual purpose is and start to live that out. And it's probably pretty close to what we were doing before, but I think the how we're doing it changes so much.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. And I think some things I go back to just the basic thought that the fact that you are alive means that you are supposed to take up space. And for some of us, we were not raised to believe that. We were supposed to be here to disappear so someone else could take up the space that we are in. And that message for some people was really strong. I know that was part of my story, and it sounds like that's part of your story as well, Becca. Is that accurate? That's what
Yeah,
you're
mine,
saying, kind of.
I would say mine was basically I felt most useful when I was taking care of other people and doing
Mhm.
things to help and support. So it wasn't
Yeah.
so much about what I felt called to do, it was what the needs were around me and how I could meet them best. And
Yeah.
that's not a bad thing. But
Mm-mm.
I think God works differently, especially for adults to get we're given the opportunity to serve in the ways where we're using our gifts and talents. But I also
Mhm.
think we have a responsibility to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves so that we can show up to do those things as our best selves. Like I think it's almost
Yeah.
in order. Like we rest to work. I learned
Mhm.
about that this year
Mm.
in a way, and that was such an amazing thing to me. I'm like, oh, we don't fall exhausted at the end of the day because we pushed ourselves so hard. We
Yeah.
rest so that we can get up and work well and faithfully and fruitfully the next day, or we rest maybe a whole day a week, some of us, so that we can work well in the following week, or we take a whole week of vacation once a year so that we can work well in the following year. Like our rest shouldn't always be exhaustion and filling up from what we've already been through. So it's like gassing the car before you take the trip, not trying to run the trip on empty and then filling up when you get home. It's just a reversal. And that's life changing when you can live through that and put that into practice in your own life.
Yes. Yes. I totally agree. And I think as you're talking, I was remembering there's a point in my life where I realized if someone else gave me a task, I could get it done. But if I made a goal, I wouldn't prioritize it. And so that's probably, we all come to this with our own stories and our own ways of doing things. But I think it's very important for each of us, like you're saying, when you said I'm a student of my own life, that's mindfulness, right? I'm aware. And then one thing I think it can be helpful for those who do have ADHD. Something that is not talked about a lot, but is really important is something is a struggle called with metacognition. And it basically means thinking about your thinking. And so it's rising above your thoughts, evaluating your thoughts, and then choosing your thoughts. And we don't have to believe every thought that we have. And we all have ineffective thoughts. We all have effective thoughts. And one of the things that some people can do better than others is just rise above themselves, evaluate their body language, their posture, their thinking, what they're saying, what other people might be thinking. There's a lot that goes into every step of life. And for people who do have some neurodiversity, which is not required to use think time, but for those who do, one thing that can be very helpful is having a space to retreat and process deeply by yourself. That's one of the accommodations that anyone who's creating an optimal workspace for someone who's neurodiverse is going to include extra processing time, and it needs to be uninterrupted. And so having this uninterrupted space, this think time to think about your thinking in a way that allows you to rise above your life, evaluate it, and make better decisions for your life and your time. Just that 1 hour a week that transforms 167 others. It makes sense to pause, evaluate, make a really top-notch plan, your best plan. Whatever that is, that's a really logically beautiful way to use your time. And so, whatever level that you choose today, doing that process, I say I don't make a lot of promises at Think Time because I never guarantee it will work for anyone in particular, but there's a lot of research that gives you a good chance of it working for you. I'll say that. There's a lot of research that says there's a good chance it could work. But I would also add that one thing I would really 99% guarantee, not 100%, but 99% is that if you're not pausing to make sure that you're making the most of your time, you are definitely losing time. And so if you're sitting there saying, I don't have time, but you're not pausing to make sure that you're using your time well, you're losing time. And so a lot of people say, well, I can't start your program. I don't have time. Well, it's kind of like saying I can't start a weight loss program until I lose the weight. And it does, this does not make sense. You don't want to wait till you have time to start. You want to start when you don't have time. I'll show you how to find time, like really quickly. Would you agree with that, Becca? Like
Absolutely.
how long do you think it takes for you to find like a whole lot more time immediately? Like how long would you say your transition was? Just speak for yourself, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it was life-changing for me almost immediately because I was going from trying to track everything digitally, which was okay, to just getting back to paper and using the tools. So I would say I had an immediate win just from being able to track it and think about it differently. And and then over time, I mean, I've been able to add way more to my life than I took away. And I'm doing it all from a more rested and more peaceful place, if that makes sense. Like I'm doing more things in my purpose and more things in by choice and things that are joyful and fun and high impact.
Yes.
And it might only be 10 minutes a day of certain things. It might be making decisions differently for other things. But it's huge. It's huge. And it's fun because we're talking about this like it's going to be this huge process, but you're right. It's an hour a week. And then I have the whole plan made and it takes me 2 seconds to check something off or move something on the calendar, or it's way less time than it would take me to manage something digitally or to be trying to plan every day, doing a new sheet and trying to remember everything all over every day. 1 hour a week to plan for the following week. Now the plan is made and I just have to follow it or adjust it as I go. It really is awesome. So yeah.
No, that's great. And I think as you're talking about using 1 hour a week, a lot of the typical productivity planners that are out there right now encourage you to plan on a daily basis. And I will quote someone who's much more broadly read than myself, not hard to be, but Stephen Covey wrote that if you plan on a daily basis, you automatically put yourself into a reactive position. And so it's very important to get these longer time frames. And so that's why we build in quarterly, yearly, and monthly timeframes with the weeklies. It's not just the weekly time frame. And so when you are casting that long-term vision, then you know what to say yes to. Then you know what to say no to with a happy heart. It's not hard to say no when if you're going to, Italy and someone says, hey, are you available to go get an ice cream cone around the block on next day? You're like, I'm sorry, I can't. Although I love to get ice cream with you that day, I'll be in Italy having gelato. Like, I'm sorry. It's not like that's not hard to say. You just are like, I have another plan. It's not, and I can fit you in somewhere else. I would love to, but that doesn't work. It's just this beautiful, grand picture of where you're going. And so the no is just easy and it's not offensive. It's just, I can't. I'm doing this other thing, although that sounds wonderful. And so it takes a lot of the, I don't know, the heart-wrenching, you know, things you think it would be hard to let go of certain things to reach your goals, or, you know,
Yeah.
it just is, it's peaceful. Like you're saying,
Yeah,
it's
it
peaceful,
is.
it's calm, it's,
Yeah.
productive. And then also I would say another feedback I get, sometimes I joke that my target audience is actually the spouse of the creative person, the spouse of the ADHD high achiever, because, you know, we get so excited about things that sometimes we just get caught up in our own ideas and world, and we could do this way or this way or this way or this way. And then, you know, we just get distracted sometimes, and we forget to just stay down on the ground and make eye contact and be with. And so, some of the feedback that I have gotten from spouses, one is my husband builds trust with me when he uses his think time. And, you know, I can trust him to do what I ask him to do when he uses the process. And I think that's beautiful to say, to know that you're doing something that will build into your most important relationships. And I've seen that time and time again. So that's just a blanket comment that covers a lot of relationships I've observed over time. But yeah, it really helps you to see the important things. So
I'm laughing because we're still not perfect. You know, like my
no.
daughter said, she goes, "Why do you have so many alarms set in your phone?" I'm like, "Well, that's to remind me what I'm supposed to do on a daily and weekly basis sometimes." And she goes, I said, "Because I forget things sometimes." She goes, "Yeah, you do forget things sometimes." And I said, "I know, because I get so engaged into what I'm doing and where I am, which is a beautiful gift to be able to be present in the moment. And that's something I've cultivated over time. I used to be not present in my own life. I was always somewhere else, planning, thinking, regretting. Now I'm really good at being present, but I also know I need to have my plan made, my alarm set, and reminders, because if it's not tracked somewhere or reminded, like, yeah, I still might forget about it because
Yeah.
there's a lot going on. I'm multitasking a lot of things as a full-time working mom, married, kids, job, business. Like, I've got a lot running.
Yeah, you do.
I need the support, but I also am so grateful to be willing to get support and keep up with it. Like it's also taught me that, like, I can have self-discipline. I can be consistent
Yeah.
when I have
Yes.
something that
Wow.
we're like, I don't know, it's fun. So anyway, I
Well,
feel
that's
like we could
trusting
go on
yourself.
forever, but
That's what you just said was you trust yourself, is what I
right,
heard.
right.
I
Mm-hmm.
trust that I can say I'll be there, and I
Mm-hmm.
can be there. That's
Yeah.
something I didn't have
Yeah.
back in the day. How do I know I can be there? What else? You just said something else that triggered something, being present. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll speak for myself on this one, but I would make a decision, but then I would spend so much time thinking, oh, did I make the right decision? I'm not really sure. Is that the right way? And then I would spend a lot of time in regret because I didn't fully think things through before doing something. So I spent a lot of my thinking time after making a decision, not being present with what I'm doing, questioning, should I have done it this way or should I have done that way? I'm not really sure. I don't know, because I didn't know where I was going. And so if you don't set time aside to set your intention and in the whole brain way, and I don't think that I did the best job explaining this, but basically we use drawing, colors, um, mind mapping, holistic thinking, and other creative methods, mindfulness, creativity, non-judgmentalism, a lot of these things to help you get into this other space. But when you fully thought through things, you've thought through the ideas, you've given yourself time to think about it. When you decide, and it's a very logical process, and you look at it in front of you and say, this will get me farther faster. Then when you do that thing, it's like you're just there, you know, you're present. And I would say for me, and that difference comes out on something like a date with my kids, where it's like, I'm there. I'm not wondering, should I be doing X, Y, or Z? I'm not checking my phone. I'm not doing, you know, if I've done my think time, I've scheduled it, then I show up and I'm like, this is time for you. This time is set aside for our relationship, for us. And I'm not thinking about all the other things I need to do at that time because I've scheduled this moment for this. And if I'm not in this moment, then I'm missing all the work that it took to find that time slot to do that thing. You know, I treasure those moments more. And I'm in them presently with whomever I'm with, you know. So I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful for the process. What else do we cover?
Ooh,
What do you think?
so good. Um, hmm.
I mean, prioritizing, I would say, is easier. Breaking tasks down into manageable steps. a lot easier when we teach you some visual skills for that. Establishing routines. There's a routine worksheet in the process. We show you how to identify which activities go into your weekly routines, why you'd want to do that, and then the benefit of, you make the decision once, you don't have to make it every week, make it once and then just do it. And you just have a lot less mental load when you work through the process week after week.
Yeah.
Perfectionism again, all but cured, right? Because we're just going to evaluate the mistakes. It's okay to make it, evaluate it, move on. And then that sensitivity to external stimuli is addressed in the sense of we're setting time aside by ourselves, phone off. It's quiet and we're giving full focus to this one thing. And then you're not constantly being pulled. And so you're able to give your best focus and drift thinking. So
Yeah.
one thing I haven't mentioned in any of these lives is the benefit of drift thinking. And again, this is the only planner that uses that type of whole brain thinking. There are different types of whole brain thinking. I call it on and off, right to left, and back to front. But the on and off is really cool, where you have these different pathways of nerves. One is for focus networks, and it's not like on top of each other, but one is like they're kind of more like intertwined, right? So this whole network is on if you're doing a focused activity like a math problem or read this paragraph and analyze blah 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 something. And then you have another set where you're not thinking about anything in particular, and that's drift thinking. And there are benefits to drift thinking that you can't get any other way as well. And so that is a pretty cool feature of Think Time that is not really in any other planner, where we encourage that drift thinking time and we capture those aha moments and then build the executive function through the back door. So yeah, I think we covered quite a bit this time. Let me double check to see if there's any other question that we need to cover. Is there anything that comes to your mind? I know I had some questions at the beginning of my survey. I wanted to make sure I
Oh, that's
answered.
what I was going to ask you about. Yeah. Because I knew you did that. So you did a survey with like your members just to see what, or with everybody like on your email list, just to see what kinds of questions they had and what things they were struggling with.
Yeah, if you could overcome, basically, so what are the obstacles to living your dreams is the first thing. And so, there's not time for anything. I mean, I would say this helps you find the time. Motivation is really key. Visualization and let me see.
Yeah, because the drawing process taps into a different part of your brain where it actually connects to your emotions.
Yeah.
So when we use like when we visualize, when we use the five senses tool where we tap into like really trying to visualize something, like it connects to your emotions in a different way. So you can capture your motivation and it'll actually stick in your memory as something that you need to, want to, have to accomplish rather than just being like a couple words on a checklist somewhere. So I think that's part of the strength of what you're doing. So I think that that does speak to that for sure.
Yeah, and we get kind of nerdy sometimes talking about the visual system and how the brain's visual system is its filter. And so, your brain's visual system is constantly looking for what you're trying to tell it to look for. And when you do that, if you need to focus on and like work on distractions, don't leave out the filter, right? And so the visual piece is a filter, and in the research, focus, energy, and motivation is enhanced when you are using visualization. So I think we're going to wrap up in about 5 minutes and run through a few more. Let's see what else we want to talk about. Okay, here's one that's really a good one. What about money? Okay. How would you say Think Time impacts someone's money, income, outflow? I mean, what do you think?
I think, okay, so, all right, I'll answer the question in a general way, because this is something I was just thinking about.
Yeah.
You've got the planner, and part of the planner process is you start with the weekly and you learn these tools. And then when you're ready to move into like start monthly planning, which I think takes people a little bit of time sometimes to get the confidence to actually start planning for like the whole next month when they're not even used to planning for the whole next week. So it might take a little time. and you learn some new tools there. The quarterly and yearly plans have some other tools, and then you do some other creative brain and thinking tools at the back of the planner and in the courses. So I have this toolbox of tools now that I can, that are like part of what are part of my regular routine that I use for myself, my family, my friends, the coaching clients that we work with on the calls. So I can pull any of those tools out. I even use them sometimes at work. If I'm talking to somebody or coaching someone at work, I'll say, let's draw with that vision. Like I had a person who drew like for a competition, what their vision was for it, and they were really
Nice.
motivated. They won the competition after using that process, and they were like, that was so
Good.
cool, I'd never done that before. And so like that was just a cool win. So I guess to go back and answer your question about money, you've got all these tools and processes to take any issue to. And so
Yes.
I find mind mapping is one of the biggest ways that I go after money things,
Mhm,
because I
mhm.
have a lot of broken thoughts about money, like from my life that I'm still working on. And so if I
Yeah.
need to brainstorm about how to increase income or how to lower debt or how to do, I just start mind mapping. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, I could lower my expenses. I could cancel this subscription. I could go, and my
Mhm.
brain can go in all these different directions and I can capture it,
Yeah.
but in categories and in sections. And it's just
Yeah.
it's a better way to organize than just having like a whole list of overwhelming things that I don't know. And then as you teach, you can review it and prioritize and find the best ideas. So it's actually
Yeah.
encouraged to get as many ideas as possible in all these brainstorm phases. So that's where I can capture my gift of like, I can come up with 100 ideas. Am I going to do them all? No. But can I take the best ones? And now I have them recorded and I can try these. And then if they don't work, I can go try something else. And then
Mhm.
it's awesome.
Yeah, no, that's great. I love it. I had one think time user said, well, when I use my think time, I save a lot of money because when you're intentional and you have the habit of being intentional, there's the ideating where you're talking about like, how can I make money? How can I save money? You can get all the ideas on the table. And then there's the intentionality of, well, where are we going anyways? What's the big idea? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if you take time to think time, what needs do you have coming up down the pike in the next 5 to 10 years? And are you set to
Mm-hmm.
be ready for those? Like that, just that one question, give it a little think time, use a little visual strategy planning,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to be reorienting a lot of your life really fast, especially if you're in
So
like
true.
our phase of life where we have like college and weddings and things just down the pike. And
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't want to be scrambling at that time. I want it to be a joyful time, not where
Yeah.
I feel like, oh, I have, there's a really funny video by Dude Perfect where they do awkward speeches and yeah,
Mm-hmm.
your mom went back to work so we could have this wedding. And you don't want to like have those moments where it's like,
Nope.
animosity because we had to save all this money all the fast. No, we want to be prepared and happy and joyful and present with whatever life comes, whether it's the vacations you're saving for,
Mm-hmm.
a new house, a renovation, whatever those goals are. How does the money piece fit in? And you're thinking through those things as well.
Yeah.
Um, I think blind to the future is really a big one. This is a fear of some people where we can't see into the future and there is a
Mm-hmm.
blindness there. And so I do teach you how to begin with the end in mind, to do it visually, even using your sensitivity for you and saying, what would you regret at the end of the season? So there are all these little tools and ways that we can get into your mind in a way that works with the way you're designed. And
Mm-hmm.
so if you're not disciplined, organized, you can't even see into the future to make a plan. I get it. I have lived it. I totally understand. One of my favorite testimonials is from a veteran with PTSD, ADHD, and a traumatic brain injury. And he was like, I can't see what's going on. And he started using the visual strategies, filtering productivity through the visual part of his brain. And he said, it's nuts. I had no idea that like stealing colors and markers from my daughter to get into my planner would make the difference for me. This is not a chemical change. This is not a situation change. We're talking about crazy difficult internal and external obstacles by simply using the visual part of the brain to filter a lot of the productivity strategies through. It really can make a huge difference. And yeah.
So what about, so we talk a lot about like art and color and
Mhm.
visual and like
Mhm.
even drawing our dreams.
Mhm.
So talk to the people that are like, yeah, I'm not an artist. I don't do arts
Yeah,
and crafts. I haven't done them since
totally fine.
kindergarten when they made me.
Yeah, totally fine. You will find the way that works for you. And so when you think of visual, and you can even cut out pictures from a magazine of an ideal situation that works for a lot of vision boards. You can do the
Mhm.
same thing in your think time. Think time uses the same science as a vision board. So when you hear all of this like manifestation, woo woo, just results, and people are, all of a sudden they're on stages in New York that they didn't ever dream about 2 years ago, or they did dream about 2 years ago, actually. How did that happen? Well, they engaged the visual part of their brain, and so they achieved higher goals. The Olympians, same thing. Every Olympian is visualizing, and so you can start with visualizing. Imagine the situation. You can draw a stick figure. If you want to
Oh yeah,
go to
I
the
do it all the
hike the
time.
Alps. Yeah. I mean, I don't always have the best art in mind, but you kind of know what you're thinking. And so you can do a triangle for a mountain and a
Right.
stick figure, whatever works for you. You can even
Mhm.
use a color of like a light green for peace. Whatever you're
Mhm.
aiming for,
Yeah. You have
engage
that whole
that.
lesson on color, science of
Yeah.
color. I love
Isn't that
that because
fun?
then you realize you don't even have to draw. Like sometimes just using color and shape and like abstract could be
Mhm.
could be memorable enough for people. So yeah, there's some really cool stuff
Mhm.
that you've dived into, like in the lessons and in the courses that I've learned a lot from. So
And if you forget what's on your schedule, I even have strategies for how to remember those important appointments. Like if you like plan out a week and you're like, I still don't remember what it is. I have strategies that are visual that I can teach you, that I've taught many members. How do you remember? When I go through my planner, I never would remember what's on my schedule, but now I do. I remember I've got something Monday morning, and I might not remember what it is, but I know it's really important. And I've got strategies for that I teach you. So you may be wanting to focus on things that really matter to you. You may be wanting to have the freedom to pursue the dreams that matter to you, that have been maybe on the back burner for 10 years, 20 years, maybe 40, who knows? A less chaotic way of life, moving forward to accomplish more of your personal goals. Like we're talking about those things that matter to us, like we do all the things that matter to everybody else, especially moms, right? Um, it would be, I say that dads work so hard too. I mean,
we all
everyone
do.
works hard.
We all
Yeah.
work hard on different
No,
things, different, but
kids, no kids, all the things. We all fill our days 24 hours full.
yeah.
And to have the confidence that I might actually get something done. I remember not feeling that way. I remember feeling like I didn't have any confidence I could actually accomplish it. Now I would work really hard from the time I woke up to the time I went to bed, but every time I go to bed, I would look back and say, I still couldn't get the most important things done. And so
So much,
that,
I know. I feel like we do. And you and I, especially being moms, and now that our kids are just like at least a little bit older, we have so much
mhm.
compassion for people who are in those phases of life where they just feel like it's Groundhog Day. They
Yeah.
feel like they're maybe not accomplishing the big things. But the cool part about
Mhm.
Think Time is we get to decide. Like no one's going to tell you what your schedule's going to be. It's not like
Mhm.
it's not this scripted plan.
Yeah, that's important.
It's
Yeah.
it's it's a process and it's
Mhm.
tools so that you
Mhm.
get to discover what's most important to you. So I know if I put myself back,
Yes.
if I was still a newborn mom and I was using a Think Time, most of my pictures would just be focused on taking care of the baby,
Yes.
taking care of myself, being
Mhm.
present. Like there's not much else to
Yeah.
do in
Yeah.
that moment, but I think I would have felt more peace and like I was missing out on less and like I was focused on the most important things rather
Mhm.
than feeling like there was all this other stuff I was like missing out on because
Yes.
this helps you focus on what are my priorities in this season, in this day, in this week. What can wait for another day or another week or another season? We get to make those
Mhm.
choices and we get to decide
Yes.
where the time and energy goes. And that's so
Mhm.
empowering for people. So I think that's a piece that I just, it's a cool thing as we're starting to wrap up, just to think about
Yeah.
that empowerment can lead to our increased self-esteem, our increased confidence.
Yes.
And then it can land you like whoever's listening to this, like it could land you where Christine and I are right now, where we didn't picture
Yeah.
ourselves 5 or 10 or 15 years ago, actually able to take all these things we've learned and impart them to other people. Like you see us and you think like, oh, they've got it all together, they've got it all figured out. And it's not true. We're still struggling through lots of imperfect stuff in our
Sure.
lives. but we've got something now that's working for us that we get to share. And like, that's a cool full circle moment of purpose to go, wait, this helped me. Now I get to help other people with it. And so it just kind of continues that upward spiral we were talking about. And so,
Yes.
for some of you, we know you have those dreams in your hearts where you do feel, I want to be doing bigger things, but I'm so stuck in my day to day. And that could be just the season you're in. But it also could be the ways that people try to impart like how you should do things. Maybe they just don't work for you and it's time to try something new.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love your description. And as I launch Think Time and as I use Think Time, I had 3 kids after, creating Think Time, and it's qualitatively different to have the angst of I can't get to my baby, because I have so much clutter going on, or the peace of I just know when to do what. And so when I'm focused with my baby, I can be focused with my baby or my child or my teenager now. I just took a whole weekend to be with one of my kids, and that was intentional and it was wonderful. And I wasn't worried about where I needed to be. Other than that, I was fully present in the moment. And so I think what you said as well, the empowerment is a really good word. Empowerment, feeling in control of your life and your time is really key. And I think that's a gift that you can't put a price tag on that. One of my users said, I feel present in my own life when I do my Think Time. You can't put a price tag on that.
Mm-hmm.
And another said, whenever I start to feel the chaos and things become overwhelming, I just take a minute, move through the process, then I feel calm. I know exactly the few things I need to focus on. And so it's just a process that helps you get clarity. That's why I keep using the word clarity, clarity, clarity. And it's, you might not have thought you needed clarity. You thought probably I need time, right? But when you have clarity, you have that peace. And a lot of times you also get the results that you're looking for.
Yeah.
When you're
Oh,
clear.
so good.
So if you guys are interested in joining the membership, which we would love to have you on the inside,
Oh, yeah.
if this sounds like it fits you, if it's something you're desiring, it is working for many people. We have taken away any budget questions, I think, with all of the 3 different levels. So hopefully money is off the table. It is a very effective, time efficient process. I think it's probably the least time you'll use with any productivity system, but I think you're going to get really great results based on the small amount of time you put in. 1 hour to improve 167 hours. It's awesome. Moving on from there. If you have any questions, you can always comment here, reach out to me wherever you're watching this. And you can also email me at cwilson@think-time.com. I will be happy to answer any further questions you have. Becca, thank you so much for joining me today, and happy birthday.
Thank you.
Thanks for spending your birthday sharing this with others. I know that shows a lot of belief and a lot of gratitude on like your own personal journey and where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so thank you for investing some birthday time, and
Sure.
I appreciate that.
I have this cool thing I've noticed over the last couple of years. The older I get, the more fun it is to give on my birthday than it is to get. So this was one of my gifts this year, and it's just super fun. I feel like as if people didn't notice, you and I could probably do this for 8 hours straight and forget to eat and drink and take breaks because we love talking about this stuff so much. So thanks for having me.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, for the sake of everyone watching, we'll stop talking now, but we could go on for a long time. Well, you go out to some birthday dinner, whatever you have scheduled tonight. But yeah, thank you guys for joining us. And I'm going to one at a time start ending all of these sessions on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and Zoom. Thank you for your patience with the tech. If you were involved in waiting for that, that was fun and adventurous. But most of all, go to think-time.com, click membership, choose your level, and join us. I'm really big on stay as long as it's working for you. So I don't have any minimum requirements. You don't have to commit for a year. You can do a year, but you don't have to. And so join at a it's very free. And so if it works for you, stay. If it doesn't work for you, you don't have to stay. And so we hope you'll join us, try it out, and we'll see you on the inside. Okay. Bye.